Coming to you from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is the Jug Life Podcast with Chad Wesley Smith and Max Ada. Hey everybody, Chad Wesley Smith here, bringing you another episode of the Jug Life Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by mischievous Max Montana, and we are coming to you today from the infamous Filthy Power Gym in Las Vegas, Nevada. You may know it from such films as Girls Who Squat, and we are joined by its owner, proprietor, head coach, John Grizzly. Wait, no. Brandon Allen. Brandon, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good, buddy. So, for our viewers who might not be familiar with you, your career started with a co-starring role in the film Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
Correct.
In which, and Max has actually analyzed this scene in depth, you make some interesting dietary choices. For a competition of that level, you choose to fuel your performance with motor oil and a cigar.
Yeah.
Not smoking a cigar, but rather eating a cigar.
Right. I mean, it was a very high stakes match, and there's a lot online going against Sylvester Stallone and all. So I had to be prepared in the best way I knew possible through actually nutrition advice I got from you.
Well, you pay the price for it, because eventually we do see you taking some antacids to deal with your nutrition choices. Yeah. So Brandon is a powerlifter. How long have we been working together now?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, we started at Nationals in 2014 or 2015.
Yeah. So, well, the first meet that I would have coached you or helped you prepare for was
LA Fit Expo.
Yeah, 2016.
2016.
AO. Or, yeah, Fit Expo.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's been going really well. So for people who don't know your background, maybe you can talk about sort of where you grew up and how you got into the sport of powerlifting.
I grew up in South LA area, kind of like the South Bay, Torrance. Powerlifting came to me later in life, not until I was in my early 20s. I played sports and played football all through high school and then some junior college ball as well. And then I've always just been really strong and been a gym bro, my whole life.
And when Brandon was playing junior college football, I knew of him, but did not know him, as I was training a couple other guys from his team, including Brandon played fullback, and I was coaching his running back, Ray Hawley, and I'd go to the games and see this guy playing fullback, and you could see his forearm veins and as his wife makes a emotion off stage of how his forearms were so developed.
I was a switch hitter, so both arms looked great.
Yeah, and you could see from the stands, you could see how jacked this guy was, and we're like, holy shit, who is this? And it wasn't until 4 or 5 years
later that we actually met, right?
Yeah. So you're always strong. I mean, it was pretty clear you were the strongest guy on that team.
Right, absolutely. And then I just was working IBW construction out in San Diego, and at a local gym that 24 Hour Fitness I used to train at, there was 2 powerlifters in there. Both of them were compete in one of the police divisions, or where it's police, fire department, and border patrol. And either way, they're just two cool guys, and I didn't know anything about powerlifting. I thought that was something they did over in Russia, and in other areas it wasn't really big, in my area, I guess. And I just started training with those guys, and it wasn't even, I trained for 2 months, and then I did my first meet up in Northern California. It was Fresno, actually. Fresno is where I did a meet. And my first meet, I did a 17:03 total. I was pretty proud of that.
And that was when, in 2014?
2013.
2013.
2013. And then obviously I've made some long strides since then. My most recent total was 22:37. And I've gone as large as 23:03 within that time frame.
So last weekend, you had your first meet in a while, and a very successful meet, 9 for 9, and we'll get into kind of the specifics of that a bit more. But let's rewind a bit to talk about the process of getting ready for the LA Fit Expo, where you totaled 22:37, just 2.5 kilos, 5.5 pounds off your PR total, but it was at 20 kilos less body weight. There was a lot of a lot of work, a lot of ups and downs that went into that. So, let's kind of backtrack to maybe 2016.
2016. So from 2303 on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically been 2 years, process to get a decent meet under my belt that with good health would be the biggest change, I would say. In 2016, when I first meet I did with you, I did a 2303 total, which it was in reps, and obviously we had a lot of momentum after that, and I was definitely getting stronger and stronger. I was getting larger and larger too. Was where the health kind of came in. I was 320 pounds, typically prior to this at my largest. And then up into that meet, I got as large as 365 in the morning. So I was like probably 372-ish or more going to bed, which at, 6'1", that's just, I'm not that thick either. I was just really uncomfortable weight for me. So basically, we went into nationals, and that was a Raw event where I had an opportunity at the time to be an all-time world record holder for the Raw super heavyweight total.
Yeah, very, very strong training cycle. You squatted a fast 905
Correct.
In sleeves and training, big benches, deadlift. When you decided to use some technique was better than other days.
Technique's not my thing on deadlifts. I just like to go for it. But yeah, so we went into that meet, like I said, with a very good prep, very strong. I was unhealthy, though, very unhealthy for a lot of reasons. And it just didn't go the way we planned. I got stuck under my opening squat. We could blame it on a lot of things. We warmed up pretty quick, if you remember that. A lot shorter time than we expected we're going to have.
Well, you're all about fitness, so.
You're right. At the time, I was very unfit. Not that I'm fit now, but there's been huge improvements.
Like the type of fitness where if I would prescribe a set of 5, I was getting text messages about I've been outside for 20 minutes. I think I'm having an asthma attack type of situation.
Right, like you're just trying to sabotage me at this point. This isn't helping me. There's no way. That kind of unfit. So anyways, like you said, I got stuck under my opening squat, 865, ended up coughing blood, and took one look at Chad, and he knew I was in bad shape. He told me to go up to my hotel room, and that was it for the day. So that was like the first health scare I think I've ever had in my entire life. And then that definitely halted a lot of plans that we had. I was supposed to go to Australia at the end of that year, and was definitely on track for a huge total in wraps out there, and would have been a lot of fun, but just wasn't healthy. So made some big changes, started getting healthy. Didn't make the hard strides that I needed to, but definitely was on the right path. And then we did the LA Fit Expo the following year, and that was my first raw, with no wraps meet that I'd done since 2014 when I did the LA Fit Expo, my first time. So we did that meet, and I ended up not having a great day. I missed my third attempt squat, which was 903. I cut it high. I knew I did. I was just scared of it. And then ended up cramping on my second attempt bench. I don't know if you remember that. And we ended up being really conservative on the bench as well. And then deadlift, I finally got into the 800 mark into a meet, which was pretty big.
To say that you had a very bad day, you made a 22:42 total.
Correct, but I was capable of much more.
Yes, but you did make a higher total on sleeves than I had made. And I know that that's what most of your goals are based around.
The recent goals are to chip away at everything that you've done better than me. And right now, it's only the powerlifting world. So there's just a few things on there that I've got on you right now. So that was my first meet, though, in better health. I was 300 and, I think I weighed in only at 340, but the next day I was well over 360 for the actual meet, just from loading and water weight and all that and everything. So to say I was healthy in that meet would be a stretch, but I was in better shape than I was the year before, that's for sure. And it was after that meet where I decided, this is no way to live. At 350 plus pounds at my height, and it was just a selfish lifestyle. I couldn't do anything other than train singles or doubles, and even those I didn't like. It was brutal. So made some serious changes.
Brandon was trying to do just a half the rep. So can I just bring the bar down? We'll just call that. That's good.
Yeah. Negatives only. So I definitely made the choices to lose a lot of body weight. That was through obviously eliminating PEDs. Was the first step to get healthy, and then I went into cleaning up my diet, which was obviously the toughest thing to do. And I was just very realistic on what I did with my diet. Like I wasn't going to follow like a pro bodybuilder diet or some high endurance athlete diet. It just wasn't realistic. I just needed to make small changes and the bigger changes. Like the first one was easy, no more red meat, and I just switched to chicken and fish. And I tell you what, I dropped 20 pounds really quick. Other choices were like no cheese, no fried foods. Just realistic things that were very manageable for me to do. And
cheese is the glue that holds my body together, though. So I don't understand how
trust
you
me,
could go without
I'm
that.
a big fan of cheese. That was tough.
The elimination of cheese precludes you from ever beating anything else Chad's done in his life, because that is the substance, the fuel that Chad runs off of.
I need to up my cheese intake. That's for sure.
It's a literal and metaphorical glue that holds me together.
In that transition, my body weight went all the way down as low as 282 pounds. And I tell you what, I felt amazing in terms of sleeping and just regular lifestyle things. And I mean, walking without getting back pump was awesome. You know what I mean? And I started walking my dogs every single morning. I made it a habit out of that. I've been doing that for over a year now. It's about 2.5 miles each morning. I do it almost regardless, unless it's really cold out, like we were talking about earlier. So, those simple choices like that, like I said, I got down to 282, but then I started having the itch to compete again and to get strong. And then when I started hitting the weights, I realized how miserably weak I was at, on a, plus 80 pound body weight drop, around 80 pound body weight drop. And started putting on body weight again, got up to like 295. We held a last chance qualifier here in my gym, and that was just to do nationals because I needed to qualify in the 308 weight class because I hadn't competed at 308 in a long time, many years. So in doing that meet, obviously LCQ, I hit like a 600 pound squat. It was going to be a 500 pound bench and like a 700 pound deadlift, and that would have been more than enough to qualify me for world nationals and worlds and USPA.
Those like just taking numbers as like minimum. Like, this is the least we need to do to go and qualify.
Correct, right.
It was only about qualifying.
Right, it was just about qualifying. That's all the plan was. And, 600 pound squat, obviously, did that very easily. And then on the bench, like, I remember I was so out of it, not paying attention, didn't really care. It wasn't really like a serious meet environment. And I was watching porn on my phone, and someone comes over and was like, hey, it's your turn to bench. And I was like, oh, shit, all right. So I put my phone down. I go over and I hit my opening bench, which was 501, the only bench I was going to do on the day. And I, on the way down, snap, crackle, pop, and pressed, locked it out, racked it, came up, and instantly knew I tore my shoulder.
Do you think this was related to like blood flow distribution problems? The blood wasn't in the necessary.
It wouldn't have been much blood that was down there. I tell you, it's maybe a quarter of not much. So I don't think that was the problem. But I think just improper warm-ups.
It was just an overuse of the shoulder there.
Maybe a little overuse. It was my left. I am a left-handed, so that makes sense. So I knew I tore it right away. The side judge actually thought that I tore my shirt. He's like, did your shirt get caught on the bench? I was like, oh, no, that was my shoulder. That's how loud the tear was. Ended up still doing the deadlift. I only needed to pull 400 pounds now to qualify for nationals, but which would not qualify me for worlds, which at that point we're like, oh, let's just do it because we don't know how bad my shoulder is. So I pulled the 400, which was pretty easy. And then the next day I knew it was fucked up because how swollen it was and whatnot. And my infraspinatus and teres minor were torn. So that fucking sucked. And like, I was just building momentum, and just getting stronger, and I was excited about lifting again. And that really hurt, and I didn't know. I started questioning on if I was even going to do this anymore, to be honest. And then, a few months later, maybe a month later, my shoulder was feeling good. And obviously I like to push things a little faster than I should. Actually, it was 2 months later. I remember it was 8 weeks. And then I started training again. And, I was squatting and deadlifting still, but I started benching again and wasn't having pain and was able to get away with overhead press, a really lightweight. So I was like, all right, let's be smart and let's start hitting it again. And then in that time frame, Foster Parnell actually started training at my gym. He's my new training partner. Very strong young guy. So I was super motivated now to start going hard again. You know what I mean? I have a guy in here who's moving around the same numbers as me, and he's now the strongest guy in my gym. And
you can't let that happen.
Yeah, that wasn't going to last very long, And of course, the bastard signs up right after I turn my shoulder. He's watching my Instagram. He's like, "Oh, now let's go! I'm stronger than him now. Let's get in there." And so started training with him, and we were prepping for what was it? Reebok record breakers.
Yeah.
So we're planning on doing the Reebok record breaker meet. And I was doing really well in the training. Numbers were doing well. And squat was actually very high. I was happy about that. And then on a good bench day, I hit a big bench. And then it's a decent standing overhead press. I think it was like 275 for 8 reps. And then typically after that, I like to do pull-ups, 5x10 on every Saturday workout. And on my last rep, on the last set of pull-downs, on the decline on the way down, I fucking tore my shoulder again. And I knew it right away, just, and I couldn't believe it. And it was my supraspinatus torn this time. So that was pretty brutal. And then I had to be a good fucking coach and a good teammate, still come in here every day and get Foster ready and a couple other guys ready. And that was hard to do, but I came in every day, you know what I mean? I just pretended like I was still part of the program. I just didn't do the bench days or the shoulder days or anything that hurt my shoulder. And obviously minimal deadlifting just from pulling on it. And I don't know, man. I just had to dig deep and just decide on if I even really wanted to do this shit anymore and if it was worth it and if I could even be competitive. That's what the guys in the super heavyweight class aren't what they were 5 years ago. No. The numbers are 200 pounds higher on the totals now, literally. It's insane. So, and I didn't want to do this and just to be a middle of the run guy. I'm just not that kind of person. I want to do things fucking balls to the wall and be one of the best at it, or I'm not going to do it. Simple as that. And I let my shoulder really heal that time. I was really smart about my rehab work, and then I don't remember when it was, but I think okay, so that's right. In the time that my shoulder was torn, my knee was acting up, and my knee was swelling up real bad. In fact, my squats were bottoming out high. And so we went and had an MRI done, and I have a torn meniscus and patella damage. So obviously I knew that this was a good opportunity with torn shoulder and fucked up knee to take some time off. And I took 7 weeks off, and I didn't lift at all for 7 weeks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did some benching and some deadlifting, but nothing heavy, nothing that's worth called a real workout type of shit, just all bro lifting and avoiding hurting any of my injuries. And we're 9 weeks out from the LA Fit Expo, and that's when I texted you, and I was like, you think I can get ready? And you're like, sure. Like, of course you can.
What's the worst that could happen?
Right, yeah, you're going to do the fucking work. Let's do it. I'll write it down. So that's what we did. Chad wrote down the work, and I did it. And I couldn't believe how well it turned out,
Yeah, you mostly do a good job of doing the work that I write down. If you interpret it properly, this is always up for debate.
Well, interpretation is a different thing. I always will do the work, whether I understand it right. That's your fault.
Yeah, it was this long time of about 18, well, not quite 18 months, maybe 16 months of just up and down. We had that real scary time at Nationals. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but had that real scary time, and then it was like, all right, back off, and powerlifting is a very low priority at that point. And then you start to, you get healthier, then you start to come back and get stronger, and everything's looking good, and then you get hurt. Right. And then you take some time off and start to come back, and it's looking good, and then you get hurt. And it was just this up and down roller coaster. And I know a really big part of you being able to get through that and do what you do in powerlifting is the support system around you. I mean, besides your ruggedly handsome, intelligent coach, is your wife, who plays a key role in your business here. Talk about that role a little bit.
I definitely tell you this much: my wife is the reason why I'm able to do this at a high level. That's for sure. I was powerlifting before I met my wife, and I wasn't a very good powerlifter. I was okay, but I just wasn't getting the proper nutrition or, the rest that you need when leading up to a meet. I didn't have anyone to really help me with all that kind of shit. And when she came along, obviously my weight skyrocketed, and so did my numbers. So,
and she's a massage therapist, so that's
she's a massage therapist, so that helps a ton.
She gives handoffs.
She gives hand jobs in the mornings when I wake up, which are mandatory. She gives handoffs at the gyms as well.
You probably have the best looking handoff person at any meet.
That's definitely true. Yeah. And not only that, she wrapped my knees for me whenever I used to do the wrap meets. Not too many women want to participate in that, or even are strong enough to participate in that. To wrap a knee to support a 900 plus pound squat. And then not only that, to put my trust in her on that. It was definitely a feeling out moment. And at first, I was so worried about it because she was so worried about it. And then after she wrapped my knees a couple times, I'm like, babe, you can do this. You're fine. Like, your wrap is just as good as his wrap. Like, I want you to wrap it. And I think when I instilled my confidence in her, she got more confident, which, obviously in turn made me more confident. And then it was just regular.
It's like a pyramid scam of confidence.
Exactly. And it just worked out well because you know how it is when you're training with reps. It's hard to get your guy to commit to come when you can come and then get him to commit to come on meet day. And it's not like you don't want to use someone else on meet day.
I've had a different person wrap my knees at every meet I've ever done.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, you're better than I am for that.
I just grab a kid out of the crowd. Hey, you.
You're rapping.
Just another mark on that list of things you got to catch up to Chad.
Fuck. Sorry, babe. Yeah, she'll probably be stoked on that one. Oh, good. Why? Find someone else to wrap your knees. That shit hurts. My wife definitely, helps me with all my training stuff. And not only that, with our business, with my gym as well. We got a pretty cool setup here. We got a nice small gym. It runs itself. We live less than 2 miles away from it. And for the most part, I handle all the day-to-day operations here, which isn't much. Taking out the trash. And
are you concerned that now all the Bear fans know that they just have a 2-mile radius to search for you from Filthy Power Gym?
Yeah, well, you just pointed that out too.
Well, they're pretty savvy when it comes to this kind of thing. I think they would have had it figured out.
Well, any bear questions you guys have, go ahead and redirect them to John Digger. He, that's our token gay here, and he's the closest bear there is to me.
They're triangulating your location at this very moment.
Well, apparently John tells me that I have a couple Grindr accounts. Which is like the POF for the gay world. And my profile picture from Instagram or Facebook has been used to make fake accounts. And John's like, oh, you woofed at me today on Grindr. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So that's what that means.
Just think that this face right here is the prize that gay men everywhere are using to catfish their potential lovers.
I don't know about gay men everywhere.
You are the bait.
I think it's a small target, but they're very loud. So
everyone's got a type. Yeah, let's take another quick break to hear from one of our sponsors, and when we're back, we're going to talk about Brandon's Meet Day performance, 9 for 9 day at the LA Fit Expo last weekend. Does your business have any New Year's resolutions? Here's an important one every business should consider. Make your hiring process more efficient and effective this year. Let ZipRecruiter help. No one has done a better job of transforming how you find the right talent than they have. ZipRecruiter posts your jobs to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. Then, ZipRecruiter actively looks for the most qualified candidates and invites them to apply. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, our listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/juglife. That's ZipRecruiter.com/juglife. One more time, try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/juglife. All right, so as we come to this sort of the culmination of this 16-month saga of health issues, of up and down training with the injuries and everything, we did a short preparation for the LA Fit Expo. Just kind of take us maybe lift by lift, or even including warm-ups when appropriate, as you went through that day, and your feelings about the lifts and your feelings about being back.
Well, I think first needs to be discussed is kind of how we did that prep too, a little bit. Like, it was only a 9-week prep. I'm typically accustomed to a 17-week or a 20-week prep is what we typically do. So just when we thought about the thought of 9 weeks, I was just like, no way, that's not enough time. There's no way. And then with the lower numbers that I only took in the gym compared to what we were planning on hitting scared me too. I mean, mind you, my heaviest deadlift was 750 in the gym, and I opened with 750, which I knew I was capable of it, but still, when you don't hit it often, it's scary, and there's a big question mark on if you can even do it.
I think a lot of it was about managing expectation and what the purpose of the meet was. purpose of the meet was to go in to be successful.
The 8 for 9 or 9 for 9 day.
Yeah, to build confidence, to build momentum going forward. But it was a bit tricky because we were much less, we weren't near as strong at the start of the training cycle as we'd been on other days. And it was a little bit more even a question mark of like, well, what numbers do we even start with right now?
Right. What's our working max? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't squatted in 7 weeks.
Yeah. Because you went into it saying, if I could squat 800,
right,
I would be happy.
I said, if I could squat 800, if I could bench 550, and if I can pull 800, I was like, dude, I won't embarrass myself, and I'll be happy with that. And then, obviously, as we got closer and closer, then the numbers started moving a little bit better and better. And then when when you're competing with guys like Rob Philippus and Dennis Cornelius who are squatting 900 plus pounds, you know what I mean? It really makes you like then think, should I even be doing this? On the way to the meet, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it was the first meet too that I'd gone to where I actually slept well the night before. I missed the meal, so my weight was even under a little bit because I slept so well. I didn't want to wake up to, eat when I felt like I needed to sleep more. It was the first time driving to the meet where I wasn't falling asleep at the wheel on the way there. I didn't shit my pants on the way there. That's a
all
plus.
positives. All
positives. Yeah. That's definitely happened. And then when I got there, just being in the environment and being back there, like I love the LA Fit Expo. This is my 5th year in a row doing it. Like it kind of seems like it's my home meet. Like it's just the one that I do. And I always seem to do well at it. So, just when I got there and got in the environment, like I started feeling at home again. I felt good. And then, I was there 3 hours early as usual. I was the first one there. The expo wasn't even open yet. We had to wait for security to open the door to even let us in. That's just how I roll though to meets. I like to be early and I like to be pre-prepared. They're as prepared as possible, I guess. And then when we started warming up on the squat, mind you, the planned opener was 789. And the biggest squat I had done in training was 804. Granted, the 804 moved extremely fast, but it's the heaviest weight. I haven't had anything on my back in over a year that heavy. So it definitely shocked me. You know what I mean? I was pretty tired after that 804 in training. And then warming up, the weights were moving so well. In fact, I remember when I hit the 600-pound squat, whatever, me and my wife looked at each other, and we're like, that was very fast. Like, it's going to be a good squat day. My next squat was like 735, which I believe was my last warm-up. And not sure what it was. I'm assuming low blood sugar. But on the walkout, whatever, I didn't get a huge breath like I typically take. And on the way, it moved, it was 735. It moved fast and everything. But on the way up, I was completely blacked out. And when I racked the weight, I don't even remember seeing the hooks. I just kind of fell into it and got lucky and caught them. And then took a step back, stumbled a little bit. And then the flashes of nationals started coming to my head. I was like, man, what if this happens out there and I collapse in front of all these people? And and then I started getting in my own head, and I sat down, I turned ghost white, I started sweating like crazy. My wife looked at me and she's like, you need sugar. So she got me some donuts. I put down a couple donuts, and it was like instantaneously the color came back in my face and I started feeling good again. So, but then I was like, shit, was that all it was the sugar, or am I even ready to do 789, my opener, So that started getting in my head a little bit. And then it wasn't until, I got out there, standing there pacing back and forth like I typically do, and looking at the crowd and just kind of taking it all in. And when I unracked the weight, I knew. I was like, okay, this is something I can definitely handle. And then when we walked it out, squatted it, and moved so fast, definitely it was what I needed for sure. And then after racking it, I remember just thinking like, all right, this is my day, or it's going to be a decent day. And we're able to push the numbers a little bit higher than we planned on originally, which were still very conservative. The second attempt was 832, and that was my higher squat of the day, which was still low enough to get me 2 whites. And it moved extremely fast. And then there's nothing worse than cutting a questionable second squat, in my opinion, for me, because then it was in my head, like, I know I need to go lower on the third, but am I even strong enough for it? Which evidently I was. And, you told me, like, you reassured me on how fast it moved. Like, strength is not the issue today. You need to get your ass down there and you'll be fine. And the third attempt was 854, excuse me. And I knew walking out and everything, I was extremely confident when it came in terms of whether or not I can move the weight. And then it was just a question of depth. And then Andy Hung gave me a down, 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 up command on the squat, which ended up
back. Take it.
That's what I'm more used to hearing. Yeah, so he gave me the down, 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 up command, and Yeah, I got it, and that was after. Typically for me, after a meet, and I'm sure for most people, after you squat, it's a lot of fun after that. The squat's the scariest thing. It's the only one you can, not the only one, but you can really get hurt on a squat. You can't. I feel like you can't really get hurt on the other ones.
I definitely find the most stress of the meet in the squat. Not so much concerned about injury, but it's very tough to have a good meet without
A good squat.
good
Right,
squats.
right.
Especially for, I think you and me and Max would be the same, where that's probably our best lift,
Right.
and that's taking up the biggest portion of your total.
Right.
And I take really big jumps in the squat too. So if I only made one, like the chances of having a good total have really gone down.
True.
So there's a lot of stress, a lot of nerves in the squat. Even though it's my best lift, I think your best lift as well. It's just so much hinging, so much riding on success there.
You also don't know how you're feeling, right? I mean, until you finish the squats, you really don't know exactly what shape, or start the squats. I guess you don't know
Right.
exactly what shape you're in, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's an interesting part of the peaking process. And so the heaviest squat that Brandon took in this train cycle was 805, and it moved really well. But for most people to do 805 in the gym and then go into competition and do 854 just as well as the 805 was in the gym, it's a physical thing, of course, and it's neurological, but it's psychological to such a big degree as well. You talked about that time doing the Sheco program where you did, 565?
Yeah, 550 and then 738.
Yeah, that one I don't think can ever be topped, of almost 200-pound carryover. And I've had, the biggest I had, I think, was 815 in the gym, and then I did 937 at the meet. And even though I had every meet of my powerlifting career pretty much a significant 5 to 10, maybe I think that's even like an 11, 12% carryover, I was averaging about 7.5%, 8% carryover. It had happened every time, but the next time there was still that question in my head of and I hope it happens again. Like that powerlifting is it's not a sport of hoping and wishing and uncertainty, and that's not the way that we design the training. But it's human nature, I think, to still have that anxiousness and nervousness about it, and it takes a lot to overcome that. And the first time we did it at LA Fit Expo, the heaviest you would have squatted in training there, I think, was 870.
No, I did 900.
900, and then 937 at the meet, and I know that was like a big kind of mental hurdle.
That was the first
for
time.
you. Yeah.
And typically, I was hitting 10 or 20 pounds more in the gym than I would do in a meet because I was just a bro lifter. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had no concept of peaking, or I just didn't understand it. I just wanted to be my strongest all the time, not on day of. I just didn't understand how that worked.
Do you think that because you probably have the most recent experience with that, where like prior to training with Chad, you're doing more in the gym than you are in the meet? Do you feel like do you notice the psychological change going from walking into a meet, having done a lift, and how much you like kind of feel the weight on your back? And it's like, oh, it feels exactly like it did 2 weeks ago, or you've touched this weight so many times that, like, if it feels off, it makes a bigger impact, versus going in with Chad's program where you go into the meet and suddenly the bar feels light, and it's like a totally different thing, and you feel ready and strong and peaked. Like, do you notice the difference?
Absolutely. Like before, meets were like, I would typically go 8 for 9 or 9 for 9 as well before I was with Chad, but that's because, like I said, I was doing 10 or 20 pounds less than I'd done in the gym.
Right.
I was super confident because I already knew what it felt like and things like that. And you're right, though, when you say, like, I was beaten up, though, and, like, tired and broken down a little, so it'd still be pretty heavy. But I would take, like, a week or two off before the meet, so I was a little bit better peaked, I guess.
Right.
But, yeah, changing to Chad now and using Chad's programming, it's crazy now because that 804, the way it felt the first time in training, when I walked it out, it felt heavy as fuck, and obviously it moved fast.
Right.
But the 854 in the meet felt much lighter than the 804 in training did. I mean, when I picked it, I knew, I was like, oh, I can double this. I was very confident.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a big difference.
I think it's kind of like, it seems like that's the thing about peaking, that when you do it right like that, it's such a profound difference from, like, basically you're hitting something in training whatever, 100 pounds less, that feels like it's going to kill you, Then you go to meet, and in the warm-ups, you feel like you're 100 pounds stronger than you were in
Right.
training, right?
It's a confidence builder too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you walk it out, like that's the scariest part of the squat. Obviously, that's the scariest part of the meet is the walkout, right? So when you're walking out and you feel confident with that and you feel good, like it just sets a tone for the day. I believe, because then like we said, if the squat goes well, then I'm pretty confident that my bench is going to go well, and then my deadlift is too.
Yeah, a lot of momentum coming out of the squat for you that day. So we moved on to the bench, finished with an 854 squat. Yeah, bench training had gone well, but you were also coming off 2 separate shoulder problems. So.
Right. So the bench was definitely a little nerve-wracking in terms of pain or of an injury, just because like I just kept remembering hearing that, and warming up. My pec didn't feel right. Like I reached over to grab something, like reach, and it cramped, and then I was like, oh shit. Is that going to be something? You know what I mean? Is this
You're like
something to be
hearing
worried?
people zip up their clothing
Right.
in slow motion,
Right.
like,
Oh my God, is that my body?
oh, where is it?
Someone opens their gym bag, like, ah! Yeah, so like that was like in my head, but then, doing the warm-ups and the way that the last little bit of benching went in the gym, I was pretty confident in terms of strength. I knew as long as everything stayed together, I was going to put up a pretty good bench. And I knew that I felt at least that I was capable of hitting a bench PR, which that, again, wasn't the plan, which I'm glad we did it.
You should have benched your second one faster, then we could have done a PR on your third.
My third one went faster than my second one.
I know, but if you would have done your second one as fast as the third one.
That's kind of been the
That's because you
repeating thing for
bench
me.
to like right here, and then you're like, oh, it's over already.
Right, I started thinking
I
about
won't
the
go
third.
fast at the
I'm
end.
like, oh shit, keep fighting that last little bit. People who I coach, I tell them that all the time too. I'm like, this is my biggest problem about the bench is that I think I finished the bench too soon. It starts flying up, and I'm already thinking about what am I going to take on my third, and then I'm like, oh shit, ugh, okay, now what am I going to take on my third? So I try to always reiterate that to my people who I coach, but I need to fucking remember it myself too, and that's true though. My second attempt was much slower, and it's been a recurring thing for me in meets. I think my second attempt is my worst bench. My third move is the best.
So on the bench, we went 518.
518 opener, 545 second, and then we third it with 562.
Yeah, 540 second, I think.
I think it was 544 or 540.
Oh, 545. All right.
I think
Either
it
way.
was 540. Yeah, whatever. It was around there. Yeah, and then for the bench, that's another one too that I can tell just on the lift off. Obviously, with deadlift you don't get to fucking feel it. With squat and bench you get to feel it first. But with the bench, right when my wife does my hand off, right when she handed it to me and stepped back, I knew. I was like, this is gonna move very, very fast. I was very confident, and I train with typically long pauses. I like to think, and I don't really listen for a press command. I just press when I know I've done a significant pause, and
Like an SPF meet.
right, except for it's more of a touch and go.
Press when you're ready.
It still has a pause. No, yeah. So I did my pause and I pressed, and I feel like it was even slower than the press command was, which was cool. It just helped me with confidence. But when you watch it on tape, it all looks pretty simultaneous. It just feels different when you're under the bar.
Yeah, I think that's a small but important thing for people listening at home to keep in mind is it's always better to train a long pause and get a fast press command than train a quick pause and get a long press command. Yeah, it's kind of prepare for the worst case scenario there. Don't make it excessive and a detriment to really how much weight you can use, but don't be kidding yourself about calling touch and goes pauses,
Right?
Because that's just going to come back and bite you in the ass when it counts.
You need to just do it on the longer side. If you do it on the longer side, I think at the meet you'll be surprised when it's quick.
You have something you want to say directly to Foster in this, or?
I hope he's listening. He needs to listen because every bench he does, it'll be the quickest touch and goes. And he'll jump and be like, "Oh, I paused that shit." I'm like, "No, not at all." And it's pretty fun though training with him. Just get busting his balls.
How close is that relative to your best ever bench?
573 was my best ever.
Okay.
And that was at 367 pounds.
Right, so you're right there.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
367 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah. Just something.
The most aggressive 2.5 inches you'll ever come across.
Okay.
2 inches more, you'd be a king. 2 inches less, you'd be a queen.
Yes, sir.
So the deadlifts.
Deadlifts. That's right. My best lift.
Yeah.
Of the day.
So if you've watched Brandon on Instagram train the deadlift, There are times in which I'm embarrassed to say that I'm his coach, watching his deadlift training. You know, you may be getting the impression that this is a cerebral, thoughtful young man here. You know, just analyzing every aspect of his deadlift technique. But surprisingly, no, he's a real live grizzly bear who just grabs the shit out of the bar and hopes that he stands up with it.
Grip and rip.
Yes, as grip and rip as it could be. But you made a lot of improvements in your deadlift technique. I know Andy has talked to you a lot about that and helped you out, and it showed here. It actually showed like that you were trying to use some technique, which was
You're a proud papa there, huh?
yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that guy, he's okay. He's I've talked to him before.
It was the first time Chad's posted me on his Instagram, I think, since I've been coaching with him. So he was definitely proud.
Deadlifting. I posted your squatting for sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Oh, yeah, that's for sure the first deadlift you ever posted. Yeah. No, so the deadlift has gone well. I think the biggest change for me has been my body composition, being 40 pounds less. I don't have that giant hard belly anymore. That's a lot of things that people don't understand. When you're that big at 360 or so, and you're that swollen and so much sodium and water, like your belly's not this big soft thing that just kind of gets out of the way. It's hard as a fucking rock. And I've literally cracked ribs in training. I don't know if you remember that a few years back, maybe about a year and a half ago. I've cracked ribs in training from my belly just being so big and pinching over and getting in the way. And
not everyone can make their 360, 370 look as good as I do, or did. I'm only 340 now.
Right, you're a skinny little girl now. Well, look at the size of your bones. It's all, most of it's bone. Yeah, so I don't know what we're talking about. I was just distracted by your large knees.
You were commenting on his bone.
You were. No, about how you're slim now and you're a good deadlifter.
Oh yeah, so that's a stretch, but I'm a better deadlifter for sure. My belly doesn't get in the way anymore. I'm able to sit back and actually get a good breath instead of having to take a breath up here and then reaching out for the bar and rolling it in. You know what I mean? And then by the time the bar would get to me, I'd be out of breath.
Yeah. No, I have people who take their airing at the top, or at seminars they ask, should I take it at the top or the bottom? They're like, the whole thing's going to last 10 seconds. So if you can't hold your breath for 10 seconds, we've got a real problem going on. And we had a real problem going on.
At that time, I was in pretty bad shape. That 10 seconds was a lifetime. So, but since I've lost the weight, and then not only that, something with my training I've made a change too is that I would always do touch and goes. I would rarely do resets. He would have to specifically tell me, that was good, but you need to do resets. And then
you get scolded for that sort of thing.
And then maybe I would do 1 or 2 sets with resets, and I would just want to show Chad the video of the other sets. And they would
Classic move.
Yeah, right. Like, I'll show him. I'll do whatever the hell I want. It don't benefit me. What does he know? But one thing I did this time around is I really stuck to doing only resets. I mean, I swear I didn't do any fucking touch and goes at all. And
is that true, Jenny? Okay.
True.
Yeah, she'd lie for you.
Yes, and then that made a big difference. Obviously, I just got more comfortable sitting down there and doing that first pull. Because if any of you watch my training, especially when you're doing touch and go, I think that's with most people. If you can do it for 1, I can probably do it for 7.
Right.
Yeah. And then with my resets, it was like if I can do it for 7, I maybe can do it for a double. But that number has changed quite a bit, and maybe 4 to 7 or 5 to 7 now. Yeah. So I just gotten much better with the technique, and obviously it was pretty big with my confidence, and just with you and Andy being there when I was warming up. Not that I don't know how to deadlift. It's just reassuring when there's people who you look up to telling, "Oh no, that looks good. Do that." And I know I was feeling it. I was like, "All right, that felt good too," and it just seemed that it transferred over on the day on the deadlift. You know what I mean?
I think such a big thing in the deadlift for men of advanced size, such as you and me, is that we had the same problem. Very fast off the floor, and then it was like you hit this brick wall at lockout, and people try and do exercises for the lockout to fix that, but it's not a lockout problem. It's a start position problem. And if your stomach and your legs are running into each other, you have to start with your hips rotated under a little bit, and then you get towards the lockout, and rather than you having that last little bit of hip rotation to finish the lift, the hips have finished early, and now it's just your low back to finish 800 plus pounds, which is a pretty tough thing to do.
It doesn't work out so well.
Yeah.
All right.
So in the deadlift, we went 749. and then you were rushing over. 804. I'm going 804.
Right.
Which turned out to be
real
good.
quick.
Anyways,
Chad was trying to be sure that I only tied his. What was that? What's the little deadlift you have?
815.
That little
Yeah.
815. He was
I
being.
was trying to make sure that you get a PR.
You were being sure that I tied your 815 deadlift.
That's not what I think about it.
That's what I think would happen.
You already have a higher total. That's all that matters.
Well, you still got me in wraps
Yeah.
for now. Yeah. Yeah. No. So. I ran over and Chad had this cute little number of 793 in his mind, and I've done that for a second attempt, I think, for 3 meets in a row, or at least or something like that. I wasn't interested in that number at all. So in fact,
You didn't wait for it. He just runs off the platform. 804. It's 804.
so I got my 804 in, and then when we were standing there, he goes, I would have went 793. Then I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Can I do 804 then? Like, what'd you see? Did you see something I didn't see?
You said confidence builder.
Yeah, you said the classic line of, well, I can have 2 shots at 804.
At least I got 2 shots at it.
The old 2 shots at it.
2 shots at it is never a good strategy.
No.
Powerlifting, weightlifting, don't put it in your mind that you need 2 shots.
3 shots at it, that's different.
4th attempt. Yeah, no. So at first he got in my head a little bit when he said that, but then I was like, no, fuck that. I can fucking pull 804. Let's go. We got this shit. Just by how well 750 moved, and obviously 750 and 804 are 2 different worlds. And when I don't know, just when I got it in my hands, and right when it started coming off the ground, I knew it was for sure a home run. And I was super confident in it, and you guys were screaming to lock my legs out. I was flexing my fucking quads so damn hard. Teardrops were crying. So I was stoked on that. And then obviously the third was 821, and that was probably my best deadlift on the day, too. It moves the best.
Very, very strong.
Yeah, I moved well.
That was a PR in a meet or lifetime PR?
Lifetime PR,
Oh, nice.
PR in a meet, yeah, and better than my coach, Chad.
all the important stuff. Yeah, and it was a great day. So as you finished that last deadlift and you finished this 9 for 9 day, and what was the feeling of being back to the big time lifting that you're capable of?
It was pretty incredible. It was pretty surreal, man. I was pretty emotional as well. Just everyone coming up to you again and excited to see. I mean, obviously that stuff is superficial, but it means something to us. And it just felt good to accomplish something that I set out to do in such a short time. Like 9 weeks, like I said, is something that's just very, very short for something I was able to process. I didn't think I can do it. And not only did I do it, I did it without getting hurt. And I stuck to the plan, and we did a little better than even expected. And obviously there was much more there, which was what I needed to know. If I hit a 22:37, like grinders, and every one of them was tough, I promise I probably wouldn't be, the plan to do the next meet, probably wouldn't have been the plan.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, I need a little bit more time to regroup and get everything going well. But, with the way everything moves, I know I'm capable of much more, and I know that in the next training cycle, I'm excited about it. So if I'm excited about it, it's going to go better.
And it's a tough thing as a competitive person, and it's easier for me to tell it to you as a coach than it ever has been for me to do it as an athlete myself, because don't know that I've ever successfully done this. But to go in and we talked about it at the meet. We said, maybe you could have squatted 881 that day, but it's so much better to walk away from it saying,
I could have squatted 81.
Yeah,
I should have just gone 860 or 854, whatever.
Then I could have done. It's so much better to say I could have done 10 kilos more than I should have done 2.5 kilos less.
Right.
And those true limit lifts, because it's not just one meet. And LA Fit Expo is a big meet, and it's great and everything, but it's not the pinnacle of your career. It's not the end. It's not the end game.
It wasn't going to make or break me, but it definitely could put me in the right direction to get me back in the right
so
direction.
it was all taking those little bit less than maximal lifts, crushing them, walking away saying I could have done 10 kilos more. I could have done 5 kilos more. Chad's trying to sandbag me and not let me be too much stronger than whatever excuses you have in your head, or whatever ideas you have in your head
I
about
just
it.
call it how I see it.
Yeah, it's great to stay a little bit behind rather than get a little bit ahead, so you can, because you're healthier that way coming off the meet. I mean, you're saying like you didn't even feel like you did a meet.
I feel fine. I mean, here I am, 4 days after it, and you wouldn't even know. I mean, I feel great. even after the meet, I mean, I drove home for 6.5 hours, so 5.5 hours, whatever it was. So my quads were a little sore, but they're going to be, you know. But the next day I was up at 5 in the morning in here coaching, worked a full day, had no pain, no nothing, you know. And I think though the staying active after a meet is pretty important too, to not feeling like shit. You know, I haven't done any lifting, which is fine. You know, I still feel fine. I just
You're supposed to today, remember?
Yeah, I'm gonna do something. Yeah, that's the plan. I'll wait till you guys leave.
You've had this kind of up and down journey the last couple of years, but if you could go back in time to 2013, a young Brandon Allen lifting in what weight class then? 242s?
I was 275, but a very light one.
As a light 275, and give yourself some advice about your powerlifting career. What would that advice be to a young Brandon Allen?
I would have said, flash forward, Nationals 2015. Ignore Chad Wesley Smith when you see him at the meet. I think I would have educated myself a little bit more, a little bit earlier. You know, I do. There's so much free content out there. You guys put out so much content. I watch all your guys' stuff. So, you know, previously I didn't, you know, educate myself. I knew everything, and I was a super bro, and you know, I was naturally strong. So I was naturally strong, and also I didn't really need to listen to what other people were saying. And I think that was my biggest downfall earlier in my career, where I could have made better strides quicker had I just listened a little bit more. And maybe, you know, I got advice from Ed Cohen, from Eric Spoto, hooked me up with his number. I mean, this is back in 2013, and I was good friends with Eric at the time. And Ed Cohen was helping me out with programming, and then he was like, "Oh, how many weeks out?" He's like, "Okay, I want you to do 5x8 today." And I'm like, 5x8? What the fuck is he talking about? I was like, "There's no way. There's no way he was doing that shit." I was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna do some doubles." Nice. And you know, if I wasn't so stubborn, I probably could have been a little bit further, a little bit quicker. That would probably be it. And then maybe also to realize that you don't need to be 360 pounds to put up big totals. You can do it. Maybe not as quick, but you can do it at lower body weights. You just got to get stronger the better way by being healthy and not just slamming as much PEDs as you can and eating as many doubles.
Yeah, it's been really cool because that was at 2016 Nationals. It was definitely a scary kind of couple days leading up to it, and talking to Jenny about everything that was going on, and seeing some of the decisions that were being made, and then what happened. And I mean, I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in Jenny's eyes that it was like, I don't know if powerlifting can be part of your life anymore.
Right.
And to see take control of all that stuff and get healthier and still do what you love doing has been really cool to see. So I was very proud to be part of that last weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, and obviously, you know, I contribute a lot of my success to you, and maybe you, not as so much as directly with the advice and stuff you gave me, just with, you know, just kind of modeling myself after the way you carry yourself and things like that, and then obviously with the training and stuff like that. And you've helped me become a better coach. So financial reasons have been better. And I owe a lot to you, man. I owe a lot to you. I appreciate it all.
I don't know if I want to take credit as you carrying yourself the same way as me in some regards, but, you know, you're a good guy. I love you anyways. All right, Max, you got any questions for this guy?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I will say it's pretty cool to see like somebody of your physical talent that actually has made the decision to follow a coach or have someone coach them, because like you said, I mean, you're just a gym bro, and you're in the beginning, like the numbers you hit were certainly not bad. I mean, right. Incredibly strong.
2215 raw.
Yeah, it's like that's not like you could easily walk away from a career in powerlifting with that and be happy and feel like it was
2215
great.
in reps, in case there's
raw in reps 308.
Well, I just want to make sure that people don't think that you only got 18 pounds stronger.
Right,
yeah.
But
so more like 90 pounds.
Right.
But yeah, I mean it's commendable, I think, to see someone at, you know, with that level of physical ability and achievement to actually put aside their ego and learn that stuff, you know. So
it was tough.
Yeah.
I tell you, the first month, I was like, every day was a fight. The first month, everything he would send me, I'm like, this is stupid. I was like, I'm not doing this. And I would do it, but I would bitch about it every step of the way.
Marissa and I were in the airport. I don't remember where we were going, but but you were in your first training cycle, and I'm getting these texts. So we're sitting at the airport eating lunch or whatever, waiting for the next flight. And I'm getting these texts, and I'm telling her, I was like, man, this Brandon Allen guy, like, he just fucking complains about everything. and then Jake, big boy, he tells me, he's like, yeah, Brandon texts me. He's always asking, like, is this the kind of stuff Chad gives you guys? Like, is he trying to sabotage me? You know.
Half joking, half serious.
So a little bit of paranoia.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I'd never done more than triples.
Yeah.
And then you're giving me fucking 6s and 8s, and I was like, no, this ain't powerlifting. This is fucking aerobics. This is something I'm not used to.
In that initial first month, what made you not just give up on it and walk away?
I knew Chad was where I wanted to be, and he didn't get there on accident.
Right.
So, with owning a gym, owning a business, being a very successful powerlifter, multi-sport, I was like, well, he's done it. So who am I to fucking know better? And it was tough, but I just was like, you came to me and offered me help. You wouldn't come to me and offer me help if you didn't really think you can help me. And I was like, he's obviously very smart.
Or it could have been just a more elaborate part of the sabotage.
It could be, but I like to think a little bit higher of you.
Lure you in.
I like to think a little higher of you than that. So that was what it was. So I knew he's where I want to be. He's done it. I would be silly not to take free advice, from someone that's at a very high caliber and at a place that I want to be.
Oh, that's cool. It's good.
All right. So this was the Jug Life podcast. If you enjoy it, if you like it, go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review, write us something funny or nice, and it'll help more people find us so they can learn how to lift weights more better. And you could also win a free shirt if you're like Sam's Grinding with some extra letters in there. Brains and Brawn, the duo of Chad Wesley Smith and Max Ada, never fail to drop some jewels along with some laughs. Always learning something new from the guests as well. If you ain't listening, you losing. Thank you to Sam's Grinding. Send me an email, chad@jtsstrength.com, and we'll get you out a t-shirt or something. Upcoming events that we have, a lot of those. We will be in Reno, Nevada on February 10th for Jug Life Live, and this will be the first event like this that we're doing. It's going to be a snatch clinic with Max, American record holder Kiana Welch, and Team Juggernaut weightlifter Alexandra LaChance, and then it will be a live episode of the Jug Life. This could be you. And well, you won't be the guest, but you'll be in the audience, and we'll do Q&A. And
that's a lie.
We'll be doing Q&A and trivia, and you can win stuff, and we're gonna have food and drinks, and it's going to be a good time. After that, on the weekend following that, the weekend of the 17th in February, Max will be in the Netherlands at CrossFit Stark. I will be in Chicago at Midwest Strength and Performance. Then in March, Marissa and I are headed to Australia for events in Brisbane, Canberra, and Melbourne. All of those you can sign up at store.jtsstrength.com, and also look for Jug Life Lives coming to New York the weekend of March 23rd and 24th at JDI Barbell and Outlift Athletics. We're always proud of the content we produce here on YouTube. 3 videos a week, thanks to the world's strongest videographer, Shorty Sedang. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, join us for a new podcast or a new video, and let us help you learn how to improve as a lifter and a coach. Beyond that, you can find the Jug Life on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and thejuglife.com. Brandon, where can they find you on social media?
Brandon_Allen88 for Instagram. And if you're interested in any of our Filthy Power gear, you can check that out on filthypowergym.com.
And the vert pole?
The vert pole is also available on filthypowergym.com.
You can find me on Instagram, Max_Ada, on Facebook, Max Ada, or you can email me at max@jtsstrength.com if you have any questions about the online coaching.
Yeah, so visit Juggernaut Coaching for more information on our powerlifting, weightlifting, super total, or new power building coaching programs. And I'm Chad Wesley Smith, at Chad Wesley Smith, and at Juggernaut Training on Facebook and Instagram, filling up your newsfeed all day. This was the Jug Life podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.